If you've ever wondered about the power of intentional relationships, this episode is for you. Recently, I hosted Brunch with Benefits, and it wasn't just another networking event. It was a gathering rooted in purpose. It truly reminded me how much our relationships shape our lives, our growth, and even our healing.
Sabrosura pa' ti que qué.
Welcome to Café con Pam. Yo soy Pam. And we bring you inspiring stories from first generation Latinas and people of the global majority. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and ring the bell so you never miss our cafecito time whenever we show up. And of course, for more incredible stories, that I will tell you, it's every week we share our podcast, Café con Pam, también. Bueno, here's the thing. Relationships evolve. I've been thinking a lot about how we define them. I've been thinking a lot about it because I've been dealing with a lot of relationship challenges with my clients. For me personally, for years, I have described relationships using a house metaphor. So, if you've worked with me before, if you did the 30-day tapping challenge a few years back, you know I talk about the pillars, the walls, the pictures, the Wi Fi, and the garden gnomes. But lately, I've been drawn into something more organic, more fluid, more alive, something that honors the seasons of connection, because you know I work with the seasons. So today, we're going to explore the key takeaways from Brunch with Benefits, what worked, what I learned, and how you can create intentional gatherings. Number two, a new way to think about relationships, how the people in your life function like parts of a tree instead of a house, and how to audit your connections so you can nurture what serves you and you can release what does not. So let's dive in. So, brunch with benefits, I never wanted it to be just a brunch. It was a space to foster deep, meaningful relationships, deep, meaningful conversations. And I believe what made it so impactful were three things. Number one, curate with intention. The right mix of people, place, and products, very marketer in me, creates everything. It changes everything. So think about the place, the location, the space that you are going to make this event at. Think about the people that will be a part of this. We'll talk. That's takeaway number two. And the products, even the things that you will either give away or that you will consume. In our case, we had a beautiful brunch from Bishan, San Diego, and we also had delicious kombucha from La Bucha Kombucha in San Diego, and both were local. Everything that was a part of the event was created with intention. We did this event in collaboration with Search Coffee, and their space is right now they're hosted at a gallery, and so there was also art, and all of it was very intentional. So curate your events with intention and think about every detail because it matters. Number two, small, deep gatherings are powerful. Recently, I shared a thread that talked about how I have zero problem talking to huge audiences. If you put me on a stadium, no problem. No nerves. My nerves are probably at a 3 from 1 to 10. But if you put me in a smaller room, in a living room with 10 people, I get super nervous because small gatherings they allow for intimacy, and intimacy allows and fosters transformation. And so, Brunch with Benefits was capped at 15 people. Anytime we do another Brunch with Benefits, it's going to be 15 people only because I think, as much as I might be nervous about it, it is when you have a smaller group that you get to build deeper trust. You get to also build intimacy, and intimacy allows for deeper connections and transformation. And number three, we crave spaces where we can exist, where we can be. Hace poco hablamos de el ser o el estar con Bea, and I think being versus doing in English, When we are able to be, we release the performance and expectation. When we are in a space where there's only 15 people, this is why I limited it and I wanted it to be small, because then you probably will have a conversation with most, if not every single person in the room. And once you've been able to touch in some way through conversation every person in the room, then there's less expectation of who do I need to show up as, because you've already have built a connection in one way or another. And also, I think we were able to get to the place of just being, because I um very intentionally created prompts for connection. So the whole we only had one table because there were 15 people. So it was one long table, and throughout the table there were cards that had different prompts of conversation, and I used the cards from the game called Juicy Cozy Real, and I was an early adopter for Juicy Cozy Real. We played Juicy Cozy Real when they were still hosting during pandemic times, when they were hosting their game online, and then they were able to release their physical game, which I was an early adopter for, and it's a great tool to invite conversation. So as people were mingling and talking to each other, they were able to ask very specific questions because they were on a card. So it's sometimes that I noticed it allowed for more connection without the pressure of like, why you ask me that? It's like, oh, the card told me to ask you this. It's kind of deep, but it's on the card. So that also was very intentional and allowed people to be more so than anything. I also curated a human bingo, and I think I'm going to do this at every event. I asked every attendee to give me a fun fact about them. And some of you who came gave me like really deep things. And I'm like, I don't know if I can write all of that in one tiny square. So next time I'll be more specific about why I'm asking you this. And so, for example, someone in their fun fact, they said, I'm addicted to Minecraft. And that was hilarious. I thought they gave me a couple of things, but I thought that was the thing that I'm like, we're not going to find another person I think out of the 15 people here, we're not going to find another person that would say that. And so in the bingo, we had those specific things based on the actual people that were there. And everyone was looking for the person addicted to Minecraft, and it was pretty funny. But then that space that we had to build that connection allowed for everyone to again just be, because it's almost like it gave you a window to connect with the other person a little bit deeper. As I was witnessing all of this connection happening in this very relatively tiny group, I got to thinking, what if we looked at our relationships not as rigid roles in the house, but perhaps as parts of a tree? Fluid, seasonal, and deeply interconnected. What if? Because as I also have been navigating calls with clients, I've realized that sometimes we feel disappointed because we have expectations from people. And sometimes we create those expectations because there are certain roles that we have people under, as they must fulfill this type of role. When in reality, they may have grown just as we do all the time. So I used to describe relationships like a house. I used to say that relationships, you were the house, and your relationships were pillars, walls, pictures, Wi Fi, and garden gnomes. However, houses are rigid. Typically, they don't move too much and they don't grow and evolve. And so, as I have been growing and evolving, I have realized that also the framework of the house and relationships is a little bit rigid, and I no longer resonate with it because relationships are not rigid. Relationships grow, they change, and they adapt just like the trees. So, I said, why not trying something new? And of course, as I work with nature, we connect to the seasons. I often talk about how we are seasonal beings, how we are evolving beings. One of my favorite trees is a redwood, and I have a whole meditation on redwoods. So I thought, why not make this relationship framework a tree? So let's give it a try. You are the tree. Your experiences, your values, your growth shape everything. So you are the whole tree. You determine what relationships you nurture, what relationships you prune, and what relationships you let go of. You are at the center, and your relationships either nourish you or drain you. Then we have the roots, formerly the pillars. So the roots are your deepest support. These are the foundational relationships, mentors, chosen family, ancestors. Without strong roots, you will struggle to stand tall. You won't be fully supported. Then we get the trunk, formerly the walls. So the trunk is your core people. This is your core support system. These are your ride or dies. These are your life partners. These are your best friends. These are the people that hold you when you need to be held. These are the people that help you weather the seasons of life. And these relationships grow with you over time, just like the rings in a tree trunk. As you grow every year, you build another ring, and your trunk might get bigger and wider depending on what kind of tree you are. Then we get the fruit. The fruit is formerly the Wi Fi. So the fruit is knowledge and opportunities. And these are people who introduce you to new things. These are the connections that carry knowledge, opportunities, and even experiences with you. So the fruit feeds you. But some fruit may fall away because it's not good. Some fruit get pollinated elsewhere. So the fruit might travel because you also are a connector in some way. So some of your fruit may go somewhere else, which is kind of cool to think about. Then we have other trees in the forest. So these are formally the pictures. Trees, other trees are who you look up to. See, these are the people that inspire you, mentors, elders, historical figures, etc. Some of these are closer to you. Others are distant, but they all help you grow. You see them and you kind of like look around and you're like, "Oh, there's a lot of us here. This is awesome." If you know anything about the forest, through mycelium, the underneath connection of roots we are connected to. We, meaning me thinking I'm one of the trees. We're all connected to each other in some way. Some of those connections are stronger, some of them are not as, and other trees are the pictures. And then we move the last part of our relationship framework are the squirrels, or formerly known as the garden gnomes. You could have, if you're one of those fairy garden type of person, you could have garden gnomes still, you know. Or you could think about the squirrels. And these are fun, casual, specific role people. Some of these people are your squirrels or garden gnomes. They are your game night friends. Some of them are your like yoga class friends, or maybe your neighbors could be squirrels. Because not every relationship has to be deep to be valuable. And so squirrels come and go from your life, and it's okay. And the thing is that in this methodology of relationships, you could have a tree that eventually becomes a squirrel. You could have a fruit that eventually becomes a squirrel. So eventually, you're going to have more squirrels than anything, because as you grow older, you start meeting more people, but you won't bring people in as much. When I used to talk about relationships and the framework of the home, I would say you don't invite everyone in your house. You have a carne asada out in the front yard or even the backyard, whatever, but not everybody comes in. Only specific people come in. So that's the squirrels. It's when you have your carne asada outside, when you have your barbecue outside, squirrels hang out outside. They don't come in to your tree necessarily. They could become parts of a much more stronger parts of you, like your tree, your trunk, maybe even your roots. I don't know. All that to say, relationships evolve. Many relationships are seasonal. Some relationships are meant to stay forever with you. Some relationships evolve. Some naturally fade. And it's okay for those relationships to do that. Sometimes people will always hang out in their roots. Sometimes people will always be your roots. Some will move from the trunk to the fruit, from the trunk to the fruit to the squirrel. That's okay. Because not everyone needs to play a permanent role in your lives. Not everyone. I didn't say no one, not everyone. So you want to be selective about this because it's also your time, your bandwidth, your energy. So, how do you apply this into your life? So, I'm going to give you some questions for you to take a moment and reflect. Number one, who are your roots? So, let's start from the bottom up and out. So, we'll start from the foundation. Who are the roots? Who are the roots in your life? These are the people who ground you and shape your foundation. These are the people that will hold you and they will always be there. Who is in your trunk? These are the people who truly support you through everything. These are the people that you know if you have an issue. Probably in your trunk, you have the people on your speed dial, your favorites on your phone. And it might be time to go through your favorites and see are these people still in my trunk? Because sometimes it changes. Who is your fruit? Who is bringing you new knowledge, new experiences, new opportunities? Who is someone whom you know you can reach out to and a connection will happen, or whom you can also build a connection for? Because it's not all about receiving, it's also about creating a reciprocal relationship. That's what relationships are. Who are the trees you look up to? Who inspires your growth? Is it time to refresh that list? Is it time to maybe be like, you know what? Don't know so much about that. Who are the squirrels in your life? Who are the fun, casual relationships that bring you joy? Typically, the squirrels, they're fun. So if you think about it, I think about when I see squirrels running around, they're like so quirky and they're funny, they're hilarious, they're like, oh, so cute. And so, who are the squirrels in your life? Fun, casual relationships. Typically, they bring you joy. Remember, it's reciprocal. It's a revolving door. Just like nature, there's seasons. There's seasons of winter is a great time to get nurtured, to get rest and actually feel the chill, the coldness of the weather to replenish. And so, what is one connection you want to nurture more? What is one connection you need to prune or let go of? So, just like we want to ask ourselves, where can I pour more of me into? You can also ask yourself, what is it that I might have to set a boundary for? Or who in this case? So that's your invitation, your thought provoking questions, hopefully. And, now the next step is to remember that relationships, the idea of a relationship is to feel nourished, not depleting. Is also an invitation to take time to assess who is in that ecosystem of yours. So, if this episode resonated with you, take a moment to map out your own relationship tree. I am working on a little doodle that I can give you where you can create and map it out. But for now, you can just draw it on a piece of paper and then name the people. If you do this, I would love it if you share your reflections and tag me and let's start this conversation because I think it's important as we continue to crave more connection and relationships and aligned relationships, I would say. We also want to be discerning of what is supportive to us and not just give, give, give because, calladita culture, the wound of commitment, very likely, is the one that will push you to overgive yourself and not ask for support. And so, thinking about nourishment over depletion, I hope everything I said, it was supportive to you. And please do tag me if you choose to do a reflection. If you also want to learn more about my work and what I do, join us inside Gather Circle. Just go to cafecompam.com, join Gather. That's where you'll read about my online gathering space. This is a place where we hang out and we do a lot of really fun things, and I can't wait to see you there. Of course, if you want to go deeper, but maybe you don't want to join Gather, you can join the Cafe Compam Supporters Club. It's a really easy way to support my work. $5 a month is just a cup of coffee a month, one cup of coffee a month. And this is a way for you. You get also access from time to time to additional episodes and, different fun things. The link is going to be in the description. So until next time, stay grounded, stay connected y como siempre, sigue brillando. Nos vemos en nuestro próximo cafecito.
Sabrosura pa' ti que